Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on January 22nd, 2019. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started here. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so let's get started here. I will start off as usual with our Forex Factory calendar here. So coming up, today or tomorrow, I should say, we have average earnings index for the pound here and employment numbers. So this is a very important number. So whether the numbers that we have to pay attention to will be the employment rate as well as the average earnings index. So either one of those numbers come in negative, it will have a negative impact, or generally has a negative impact on the British pound. Now with the pound here, a pound has been going up even when Prime Minister Theresa May actually her proposal got defeated. Pound actually jumped up, and the reason for that optimism is because now they're expecting that the Brexit date will get delayed, or there will be a second referendum or something of that sort, something that would be a better scenario than what they were trying to get through prior. So now I'm not sure if that will actually happen. So it looks like Theresa May actually has proposed another plan that is not quite, is very similar to the previous one, except for the Irish border and whatnot. So we'll have to see how all of this plays out. So expect more Brexit volatility as we go through over the next few weeks here. Other than that, we have zero economic sentiment for euro. That will be that will make a difference for euro here. And another thing to kind of keep and make a note of is that we're not getting a ton of US data. It is being delayed because the government shutdown. So when the government shutdown ends, the data will sort of drive the market. So keep that in mind. A lot of data will come out altogether, and as a result of that, we'll see market movements. So it's very important for us to keep an eye on the news right now, because as soon as the government shutdown goes away, there will be movements in the equity markets as well as the currency markets because of all the different news items that will come out, all sort of in the span of a short time. So for now, though, we have existing home sales. That's the only data point for the US. And as a result of lack of data, US dollar has improved a little bit here. For New Zealand dollar, we have CPI number, which is our inflation, very important number that it's tracked by the banks. So we are looking for 0% there. And a very, very important number here for our important news item here for Bank of Japan, we have monetary policy statement. So Japan right now is concerned about the trade wars and the impact those trade wars have on Japanese yen. So this is another one to keep an eye on. But overall, for our session tomorrow morning, we just have a couple of pieces of data here that will really have an impact. Other than that, it looks fairly quiet during the day. So let's go on to our charts here. We'll start as usual with euro dollar. So euro dollar has been going down for the last few days. It's been making a move to the upside, but then it's been dropping. So today here we have a pin bar. So this is bearish. So I'm looking for price to come down. However, because we have there's still some green here in our candle, likely we'll see price either go up to test the high here, or we can see it go to test this high as well. So anytime there is green in the candle, I find that sometimes the pullback can be bigger than we normally see, but that's not a given. It can also just kind of go up to here and come back, or just go down from where it is right now. Today, the market moves were very, very small because it was Martin Luther King Day holiday in the US, so not much happened, as well as Monday. Mondays tends to be a little bit sort of slow anyway. So like I said, we could see a pullback all the way either into the top here or all the way into this previous support resistance level. So watch out for that. Bias will be bearish though. and the target here would be 1.1300. So bearish bias for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one looks like it's holding above this previous resistance level, which is turning into support or has turned into support. So a couple of things to pay attention to here. So we have a bit of an interesting sort of area going on here. So we have a bearish candle close. So we have railroad reversal tracks. So based on that, I would say the bias is to the downside. But today we have a bullish candle close. So I will look for something like this and look for it to come into 1.2840. If it breaks through that, I will look for a pullback and then look for a further move to the downside. So overall, I would say the bias is to the downside. But like I said, with pound dollar here, we could see volatility in all the pound crosses. So keep that in mind. But for now, I think this could go down. But if it breaks through this level, then it could go all the way up here. So pound is one of those crosses right now because of external circumstances. Things can move in either direction. So those are some of the levels I would keep marked. If it breaks above this 1.2920, it could go all the way into 130.20 level. If it breaks below 128.40 level here, then it could come back all the way down to the other day's low here. And for now, what I'm looking for is pullback here and potentially a drop. But there's also news coming out tomorrow, red news for pound, so that could have an impact as well. Aussie dollar, this one is looking bearish. So we have seen this bearish, slightly bearish trend here. If you take a look at the 1 hour, we see clearly that price has been making a lower highs and lower lows. So bias here is bearish here for Aussie dollar. And next level that I would look for here would be either 70, 80, 0.7080 level. So bearish bias here. And with this one as well, I think we could get, because we are into the support right here, a bit of support here. So it could pull back here before it goes down. But overall, my bias for Aussie is bearish. And with the drop in Chinese yuan, this one is falling due to China. So bias is bearish for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, this one is also looking bearish here. And I will look for price to drop further. Target would be 0.6670 level here, which is the base of this candle. So bias is bearish. One level that I would keep an eye on would be this one right here, because this is where price had turned higher. So if it does not break through this level, it could push higher. But for now, bias is bearish. And first target 0.6700, second target 0.6680 level. Dollar CAD has been bullish. It's holding above this level. However, we are into resistance here as well. So if we take a look at the daily here, daily is bullish. Overall bias is bullish. So we have a bit of a triangle going here, and a bias is bullish. So a green candle here as well. Just make a note of this resistance because price could get stuck here, but overall bias is bullish. And I would look for price to break out, pull back, and then look for the next level. And this is what we are looking at, 1.3400. So this is bullish, but if it does not, for some reason, break this high, it could just become range bound here. Then I would look for it to come back towards the 132.20 level. But overall bias is bullish. And if the price can sustain above that, then I'm looking at 1.3380 or 1.3400 as the next target. Euro pound here, this one is a pin bar doji here. So bias is bearish. Now do watch out for a pullback either into 88.30 level here or all the way into the high. The move looks quite thin here, but bias is bearish, and target here will be 0.8760 level. So bearish bias. And here, so the type of move I would look for would be right into this area. So this is a nice support, turning resistance. So either into this area or a pullback right into the top of this today's candle here, which is 0.8865 level, and then a drop. But the bias is bearish at the moment. Euro Swiss franc here, this is looking bullish. Now we are into the highs here, so be mindful of that because price has been trading in this range for a while now. But overall, this candle close is bullish. But see how we had a bullish candle close here and then price turned around. So watch out for that. For now, the next target here will be 1.1380 level. So only if price breaks above that level right here, only if it breaks above, then I would look for a pullback, and the following move will be to the upside. But if it gets stuck at into the resistance, then I will look for a drop back into the range here, and target would be the base of today's candle. Pound Swiss franc here, this one is looking bullish here. Now we do have a bearish candle, but it's not quite full candle, so it's still holding above this level here. So this looks bullish. I would look for price to maybe go into the high of this candle here. 1.2920 will be the target to the upside for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc here, this one looks bullish as well. Nice bullish candle close. So I will look for a move up into 1.00 level. So bias is bullish for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen here, this one's interesting. We have seen a drop. So my bias here, I think the Bank of Japan monetary policy statement could have an impact, especially their commentary. They're not going to change anything from monetary policy perspective, so that's not a problem. The only concern will be their comments, because they are concerned about the state of the world economy and the impact that trade wars will have on Japanese yen. So keep that in mind. But just from technical perspective here, I think this one could drop further. I think we could see it come back towards a 140.40 level here. So my bias is bearish, and I'm looking for it to come into this level here. Now, like I said, with British pound, it is volatile, and yen crosses right now. Equity markets have been very optimistic because of the potential negotiation or agreement that can be reached between US and China. We haven't quite heard anything about this agreement, but it seems like every few days we get some comments in regards to the progress that's being made in the talks, and that tends to be positive for the markets. So as a result of that, all the yen crosses have been going up for quite some time. I did expect them to turn around a lot sooner here, but like they say, markets can, markets can go do what they want to do. So keep that in mind. Sorry, excuse me. I'm back. Okay, so the saying goes, markets can stay irrational a lot longer than we can stay solvent. So we have to keep an eye on what the charts are telling us. So for now, I'm looking for it to drop a little bit. Euro yen here, this one has been holding below our resistance level at 125. So this one, I would say bearish for now, just because it has held. But if this were to break, so this is the type of move I'm looking for ideally, right? Looking for it to come back into this range here. But if it breaks above the high, then our trend will change, because this euro yen has been range bound. Pound yen has been crazy optimistic, just like British pound overall has been very optimistic. But if for some reason, let's say based on monetary policy or whatever comments in regards to trade wars, so if it breaks above 125, then chances are it will go higher. In that case, 126 will be the first target. And essentially, then we would be looking for that candle here all the way up. But for now, bias is to the downside, and I'm looking for price to drop back towards the bottom of this range here, 123.40 level here. So bearish bias for euro yen. Dollar yen, this one has been bullish here, but now we are into our support level here, which could turn into resistance and we could see this drop. However, there is still room up to the upside here because there's another level right above this. So today's move was very, very neutral, not much of a move. So what I would look for here would be the move would be something like this. If it holds below the high, then I'm looking for it to come down. And 109 would be the target to the downside. So bias, I would say for now, that's my bias. I'm just looking for it to drop a bit. Having said that, if on the other hand, it does this, then that's the next move. Then because there is still room to the upside. And if the equity markets are optimistic, it could go here or here as well. So for now, bias is just for looking for a pullback here, and target here would be 109.00. So that's our dollar yen. Aussie yen is looking a bearish here, looking for it to drop. Here we are. It ran into the support here, which is acting like resistance. We had a small pin bar, very tiny move here in Aussie dollar over the last few days. That means there isn't much momentum to the upside, which means it can drop now. So bias is bearish. 77.30 will be the target to the downside. New Zealand dollar, this one is looking bearish as well. As we see, price tested the high there twice, and now it looks like it wants to drop. So target here would be 73.00 as the first target. And then if it does go below there. But I'm not sure if yen crosses are completely bearish, like for a big move. For now, I am just looking for a little bit of a bearish move, and time will tell us, because the trade war situation will have an impact on, or has a big impact on, the yen crosses. So that's still a wild card that we have to work with. So keep that in mind for now. So for CAD yen here, I would say bias is also bearish. I'm looking for price to come back down towards 81.25. But Canadian dollar has been strong. So this one could actually go higher. Just keep that in mind. But I think right now, all the yen crosses may pull back a bit. Pound New Zealand dollar here. This one is looking bullish. It looks like it's holding above this previous level here, previous high. So as long as it holds above this 1.9040, it will go higher. But right now, I think it's in this range here, because we do have a resistance right here. And this was a strong resistance last time, where price dropped. So now we have gone up a fair bit. And if pound starts to weaken, this one could drop here as well. So right now, I'm looking for a range-bound move. It can go high into the highs, or it can go into the bottom. But I'm not overly bullish on this, and I'm not overly bearish on this, because pound right now is kind of up in the air. So I would say if it breaks below 190.40, then it could move lower into 188.20. But if it holds above, then I will look for it to go back into the high of the range at 195.20. So sorry, 1.9250 level. So right now, I think this is where it's range bound. Euro New Zealand here, this one is kind of in a range here as well. Over the last few days here, it's been trading right into this range. So with this one, I will look for a retest of the high, and we'll have to see how that has an impact. If price goes into the high and then is not able to break through, then I would just look for price to come back towards the bottom of the range here. Again, I don't think there's a clear trend here in either direction. So it will just be a matter of which way price goes. But if it holds below this one, I think we could see a larger trend to the downside. But again, we have to wait and see. Euro CAD here, this one is looking bullish. So I would look for price to go into 1.5160 level there. And that will be the target to the upside. Now, as we can see, price also has been struggling with this level. So if it doesn't break 1.5139, then it could also reverse. But for now, I will look for it to go into the high and test the high. And if it doesn't break above, then I will look for a drop from there. Pound CAD, same thing here. We had a big move to the upside. So this could just be a pullback for a drop. This is where it's between commodity currencies and risk currencies. Right now, it's not a clear move. So it could just be one of these, pullback, drop, pullback, drop. However, we have to see it play out. We have to see the charts show us that move before we actually go in blindly. So right now, I would not short it. However, I would keep that move in mind for it to go down. But today's candle close is definitely bullish, which means it could go higher towards the high at 1.7260. Again, we'll have to see how the news comes out for British pound and how the markets move. Right now, this kind of seems dead. Euro Aussie, the same thing. It's just kind of stuck here for the last few days below this moving average, not really doing much, rejected the low. So right now it does have a bit of a bullish bias, but again, we have to see how price will react into this support resistance level at 1.5920. So if it holds below this level, then I would say we'll do one of these. So right now I'm looking for it, looking at it in terms of just a range bound move. If it breaks above though, then we have all this room to the upside. So in that case, if it breaks above, then this will be the second target up here and then the third target. So let me just move my resistance lines around, and here we go. So those are the few levels to the upside, but I have a feeling it will go into the high and then come back down. So just watch out for that. So range bound for Euro Aussie as well. Pound Aussie, same thing, is just kind of range bound here. It could go touch the high again and then drop from there. But for now, I think it has a bit of a downtrend, so it could just sort of slide or make its way to the downside here, but not a strong trend that I'm seeing currently. But if we get a nice bearish close tomorrow, then we can take it lower, because then we have seen rejection off of this. But for now, I think it could still go into the high there and test the high, because we do have a bullish close today. So it could do one of these. Okay, so that's Pound Aussie. Let's go to oil. Let's see what oil is doing today. Oil hasn't done a whole lot. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so oil is into the resistance right here. And at this point, if it holds, I will look for a price to come back down. See how long it traded in this range here. So we could see a similar behavior here as well. However, if it breaks out, because overall we do have this up move here, if it breaks out, then the next level would be 57.68. Again, it seems like prices are sort of at that levels where they could either break to the upside or to the downside. Overall bias here is bullish here. So this is one scenario. Second scenario is bounces off of this line, then goes up from there. Third scenario is just comes back into the range. So like I said, it's not clear at the moment. Overall bias is to the upside though. Okay, so we'll wait and see there. This one is looking bearish at the moment. Price consolidated for a while, and now it's we have a bearish move here. It is into support, so keep that in mind, but a bias is bearish, and I would look for 1264.33. So bearish bias for gold. Copper here, copper is also looking bearish today, bearish engulfing candle close here, so I would look for it to come back towards the bottom here, 2.59. So bearish bias for copper, which means commodities are looking weak right now, which means commodity currencies are likely to weaken as well. And then let's take a look at what our silver is doing. Silver is also looking bearish here. This one's looking more bearish than gold even. Okay, so here we are. And I would say bias is bearish. 14.84 will be my target here. Looks like this move up is getting undone. So bearish bias for silver. Bitcoin is looking a little weak here, sitting into the bottom, which means when generally it sits into the bottom, it tends to break to the downside. So I would say kind of bearish bias here. It is in this big range though. So I would say bias is bearish for Bitcoin here. And finally, let's take a look at our indices. Okay, so our daily here is slightly bearish, but slightly. Overall move here is very bullish. Now, we haven't really seen a drop. We have not seen any pullback. Well, we've seen like little, very tiny pullbacks. So I think this may be a time for a good sized pullback here. We are into this resistance here, which means price could drop 25.97. However, like I just said, markets can stay irrational a lot longer than we can stay solvent. So it can go higher as well. It can break through the resistance here because it's such a small candle. It doesn't have a strong downward momentum at this time. Overall, more of the momentum is bullish than bearish. Very, very tiny candle, lacking momentum to the downside, hasn't really picked it up. So if tomorrow we get a solid close here, that can show us that we could come all the way down to here. However, because for now, like I said, we have to wait and see. Equity markets have been very optimistic, and the optimism could continue, and we could see this go up, and we could even see it go all the way up here. So there is a lot of room to the upside still. I had been looking for equity markets to drop, for markets to actually sort of get rid of some of that, overly optimistic view, but they haven't, which suggests that it could continue. So I will just keep be cautionary over here as we trade this. So I would say overall bias is bullish. It is into resistance, so we could get a pullback into 26.23 level. And I'll leave it at that. This one here, here. All right, so we have Japanese yen. Here we are. Not much of a move today. We are into the support, turn to resistance. So I think this one could drop or pull back, I should say, into the bottom here. But like I said, I am not talking about a huge drop. I'm just talking about a bit of a pullback because, like I said, there's optimism. But we also have Bank of Japan monetary policy. Like I said, monetary policy itself is not about to change. They're not really looking to make any changes. but it's their commentary around trade wars and world economy that could have an impact here. So for now, I would look for a bit of a drop. If it breaks the high though, then we have this room all the way up to 21,459. NASDAQ is still holding up there, so very similar sort of formation here, just like S&P 500. So I would say I think we could get a pullback down here, and then price could go up higher. So I will look for a pullback, but like I said, I will not say that this is definitely bearish, because there is room to the upside here, and we could go higher. But if it breaks above this, then chances are it's going to go higher. This one here has been very bullish, and bias is bullish. We are into resistance, but overall bias is bullish, and I think it could go higher here, all the way into 11,553. But again, it has to break the high. If it doesn't break the high, then I think all of these could just pull back here. But like I said, momentum is to the upside, and we do not want to stand in the way of momentum unless we actually see the move confirmed. Again, this is also into resistance. That's a big bullish candle close. So bias is bullish. Next target is 71.50. So all these indices, basically what they are showing me is that the yen crosses could have more bullishness left in them. So any moves to the downside are likely to be just pullbacks and not actually a change in the viewpoint. Yeah, so I would be careful with trading the yen crosses, because it looks like there is still optimism in the market. So that's all I have. Any questions? Okay, no questions coming through. All right, perfect. So we're back on our regular schedule here now. So we'll have Kevin in the London session, and I'll come back into the New York session. I'm kind of reluctant to make a call tonight. I was thinking about Aussie here, or perhaps New Zealand dollar, but there's nothing going on in the market. Market seems dead right now. So I would watch out for and see how price reacts here into the euro, or I am interested in maybe this one here as well, for it to go lower. But like I said, there isn't, market is not moving right now, not much going on. I would like to see a pullback. Ideally, if we could get a pullback into there, then take a short from there. But like I said, I want to sort of look at it before we call a trade. I have not been in front of the charts for the last few days. I've been sick in bed and traveling, sick and traveling at the same time, which was not very good. So I'm going to wait and see. I would like to see a pullback and then a drop, but let's see. So today I will not call a trade, but I'm hoping we can see some trending moves now. So maybe tomorrow night we'll have a trade. And if an opportunity presents itself in the London session, Kevin will call something, or in the New York, I will be back in the New York session for sure though. So that's it for now. See you guys in the morning. Have a good night.